This is Ben Davison. Subscribe to Stephen Icon.
So according to Shelly Finkel, one of Deontay Wilder's managers, the mediation between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in regards to the third fight is still ongoing. So no resolution has happened just yet. Thus, any talks between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury undisputed fight is a little premature until this situation is resolved. As of right now, the case is not resolved. So some of the Deontay Wilder fans, and I've seen it in my comment section and of course all over YouTube, where they're saying that Deontay Wilder's already won the case and yada yada yada. Well, Wilder's own manager is now just put you back in your box and saying the case is still ongoing. Okay. Now, when it comes to this case, I can speculate, you can speculate, many people can speculate. The truth is, not one of us know the full extent of what's in that contract. None of us know exactly what's going on. You can have people running around saying that, I'm a lawyer, or my cousin's son's brother's wife is a lawyer, and this, that, and the other. And no, ain't nobody knows the truth of all of this, okay? All we can do is speculate. All we can do is try and use our own common sense, our own logic, and sometimes our own narratives. Take what it is that Team Fury is saying, take what it is that Team Wilder is saying, mix them all up a little bit, and come to our own conclusions. Now, there are certain ways of looking at it. I've heard quite a few people saying that the whole situation between Wilder accusing Tyson Fury of X, Y, and Z, the conspiracies, the gloves, and the spike water, and all this, that, and the other, the whole Tyson Fury talking about Anthony Joshua and the undisputed, and he's not going to give Wilder another payday, all that kind of stuff is all just a hype machine to build a third fight. Now, I wouldn't rule that out. I'm not quite on that side yet, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't put it past anybody to do any of that. At the end of the day, there's millions of pounds, millions of dollars on the line. You'll do certain things. You'll manipulate the media. You'll get people talking to hype up a potential fight. Why? Because it does more numbers. More people will be looking at this situation who maybe buy into it and go, well, I really, really hope that Tyson Fury absolutely annihilates Deontay Wilder because of the absolute bullcrap excuses that he's been coming out with. The shopping list of excuses is ridiculous. They are probably the worst that we've seen in boxing. Okay, there's that way of looking at it. Tyson Fury, he's using Anthony Joshua as an undisputed, so therefore people will look at it and go, well, I really hope that Tyson Fury beats Wilder, otherwise this whole undisputed thing is off the table. And there's definitely certain ways of looking at it. Right now, I'm not on that side. I believe that Wilder truly believes the ludicrous things that he's saying. And I truly believe that Fury just doesn't want to fight Wilder based on the fact that he's fought him twice already. He got screwed the first time to a draw. Second time, he comprehensively battered him. The contract has expired. Why do I need to fight you again? Why do I need to give you a payday after all the things that you've been saying about me? That's my own thoughts on it. But when it comes to the contract, certain things you have to look at. Okay, we know that there was an expiry date on it. And quite clearly, there was no force majeure inserted into this contract. Force majeure, okay. Nobody could have predicted the virus. Nobody could have predicted the pandemic that was going on. So no, of course, that is not going to be in the contract. But a force majeure is a way of saying, in the event of certain things out of our control, we still want to pursue this fight. The expiry date should be extended, all that kind of thing. Was that in there? Well, we're led to believe that it wasn't. And if it wasn't, oh well, you should have made sure that it was. In all contracts, that kind of thing should be in there anyway, shouldn't it, as standard. But according to Bob Arum, it was them who insisted on the expiry date. It was pretty much Wilder, or Wilder's team, who drew up the contract, okay? So it was them that let the contract expire. Originally, the rematch was, or the third fight even, was supposed to have happened back on, was it June the 28th, I believe? Now, we know that Wilder, he wouldn't have been ready at that time anyway. He had surgery, all that kind of stuff. So that was never going to happen anyway. And we can only speculate that maybe the contract was was extended with an expiry date of December with that in mind. We have to look at what it is that Tyson Fury said, that they offered Team Wilder X amount of dates and Team Wilder kept turning them down for one reason or another. Wilder's not going to be ready. It's going to be clashing with college football or whatever it may be. They kept turning them down and kept trying to push it back. So I suppose it depends on what side of the fence you want to look on, maybe. But I think logically, Fury, he ain't going to want to walk away from a contract knowing that there's a possibility Wilder could sue him for millions. He's not going to do that. Fury will have enough legal representatives on his team, especially through MTK and the fact that Bob Arum, of course, is a former lawyer in that as well. Frank Warren, he knows his way around a contract. They're not going to advise Fury to say, yes, you can walk away if there's a possibility that he couldn't. Okay? So in my opinion, this whole case going on right now is stalling tactics. Again, how long does it take really to read through a contract, say, okay, Wilder side, why do you think this fight should be happening? Fury, why do you think this fight shouldn't be happening? Read through the contract, make a decision. It shouldn't take that long. It really shouldn't. You could get that done in a day. Let's be honest. But we know what lawyers, solicitors are like. They tend to string things out as a way to justify their payday for it. Okay? That's what they do. But in the meantime, everything's on hold because Wilder likes to keep things on hold. Wilder's been holding up the heavyweight division for the longest time. Even when he was champion, didn't fight the best of the best of the best of the best. He never done that. He kept fighting people that we didn't really know who they were. He was fighting people that didn't warrant a world title fight. That's what he was doing. So he's been stalling it for a long time. He never wanted the Anthony Joshua fight. He even said before, or most recently, I was offered more money to fight Anthony Joshua than what I was to fight Tyson Fury, but I chose Tyson Fury because I'm a man of my word, blah, blah, blah. Now, I've heard some Wilder fanatics saying, well, Wilder never said that he ducked Anthony Joshua. He never said that he was offered more money to fight Anthony Joshua. He said that he could have made more money to fight Anthony Joshua. Well, no, he said in his own words, I was offered. So stop lying. He was offered. In other words, Joshua wanted to fight, Wilder didn't. That's all it is. It's not rocket science, okay? Now, going forward, what's going to happen? Well, we don't know. According to Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum told him recently that Fury is free. And there's nothing to worry about with this case. We can talk about Fury versus Joshua. Joshua versus Fury. We can talk about it. There's nothing stopping Fury from fighting Joshua. Currently, there's nothing stopping Joshua from fighting Fury. Yes, there is this case with Wilder. Yes, there is the mandatory situation with Usyk. But if necessary, just vacate the belts. Because the WBC, okay, let's look at this way. If Fury and Joshua agreed to fight on X date, do you think that the WBC can go, no, hold on, Fury, you're not fighting with our belt. We don't want any percentage of that huge purse that you guys are going to generate. Not at all. You should give Wilder his rematch. No, they ain't going to do that. If there's a possibility of Fury vacating, the WBC are going to side where the money is. Wilder doesn't generate. He just doesn't. He couldn't sell out a ticket booth. He couldn't do it. He couldn't fill out a bingo hall. He's never been able to do that and probably never will. I don't know why that is. People in America just don't gravitate toward him. Why that is, well, again, I can only speculate. But the thing is, for me, this contract, well, it's expired. It's got nothing to do with the pandemic. I mean, sure, of course, that certainly didn't help, but I'll go back to the original point. The fight could have happened anyway. Other fights have been going on behind closed doors or with limited crowds and whatever else. So this fight could have as well. It's not our problem. It's not your problem. It's not anybody's problem because you guys want a crowd. What's that got to do with a heavyweight championship of the world? How's that my problem? How's that your problem? So, again, maybe some people who are saying that this whole thing is just one big hype machine, they're just feeding the machine so people get interested in a third fight, where ordinarily not that many people would have been interested in it. So, it does give credence to it, I suppose, if it turns out that these guys are going to have a third fight. And if they do, then yes, I will certainly believe that all of this was just a hype to hype up the third fight. And I'll go in on both of them. But as I said, right now, I'm not sitting on that fence. I'm sitting on the side of the fence of Wilder is just a big crying baby making excuses, and Fury definitely wants the Anthony Joshua fight. Fury doesn't want to give Wilder a payday because of the things that Wilder said. Wilder has been offered X amount of dates, didn't take them. Pandemic or no pandemic, the fight could have happened by now. Could have happened, should have happened by now. Wilder's fan base, absolute lunatics. It is what it is. Not all of them. I'm talking about a minority that do support it for the majority, who are just absolute toxic. Because they know all their eggs are in that one basket. If Wilder gets battered again, they're finished. Their whole content is based on defending Wilder. If he retires, well, they're up shit creek without a paddle, aren't they? So they've got a lot invested in this. They're getting their super chats. They're making their videos based on all of this. These people have sold their soul to side with Wilder. How they can look in the mirror and believe some of the things that they're saying, I don't know. Personally, I don't think they actually believe it. I think that they are trying to convince themselves that the allegations are true. I mean, if it's just one allegation, we can look at it and go, okay, well, maybe if that's what they really believe. But to come out with several of them is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. For me, the case ongoing, it's just stalling tactics. That's all I think it is. But it wouldn't surprise me if somehow, again, who's this judge? Who's this former judge who's mediating the case? What side of the fence is he sitting on? Is he going to have some kind of bias on this one? Was there a force majeure in the contract? Was the contract extended even more because of the pandemic? How much leeway was given? How many times did Team Fury offer Wilder and Wilder turned it down? All these things do need to be looked at, but in truth, it could all be done in one day. And nobody's going to tell me it couldn't. It really could, but as I said before, lawyers, they tend to string things out, put in fancy words to justify their huge payday. That's all it is, isn't it? Anyway, as to Shelly Finkel, he says that the mediation case between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is still ongoing, thus meaning any talks between Joshua Fury currently is a little premature. All we can do is speculate. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next.